Okay, it's time. Another unscripted video, let's do this. Alright, this time we're talking about Monster Hunter, and more specifically, Monster Hunter Rise and how the series is in a really weird spot right now. To the Monster Hunter community, Rise has been a very polarizing game. There has been a lot of drama shitstorms going on surrounding it since its release. And I mean, it was kind of inevitable, right? Like, ever since the trailers were coming out from the Switch release and we were seeing all these performance issues, and then they had these people coming out trying to defend it really fervently. Like, it was destined to be this way. It was destined to be a clusterfuck. Like, one thing you need to understand about the Monster Hunter community that I learned from Monster Hunter World is that they are very attached to these games. These games are extremely hard to criticize. Every time you bring up something negative about the games, especially the most recent titles, you have to just wrap it in this really bullshit positivity about how, you know, this may be really not good, but these games are a treasure. They are a treat. Thank you, Capcom. Let me suck your dick. And this also extends into the attitude shared by a bunch of content creators, because a lot of the big ones have this really weird idea that they need to be positive at all times, that Monster Hunter needs to be this really welcoming community, that it isn't toxic, whatever. But a lot of them end up doing this in this really cancer way, where they come out and basically like backhanded to shit on just so many fucking people for having like certain opinions about the game, and they talk down to them so much. Like, oh my god, it is actually hilarious. And I know some of them mean well, like I'm pretty sure they're not out there trying to just fuck with people, but I mean, come on. And I also hope you see that when you have these creators in these communities and the mainstream larger scale Monster Hunter community doing this type of shit, you can kind of see how a lot of this really fed into the monumental shitstorm that took place with Monster Hunter Rise. I mean, I wouldn't doubt, because I remember in Monster Hunter World that there was also a bunch of like really weird discussions and debates going on, and of course drama never goes away in any community. You know, it's just always going to happen with these types of content creators with different opinions than one another. So I wouldn't doubt that this is all par for the course as far as this community is concerned. But it really isn't as interesting as Monster Hunter Rise to me, because that game really was the point at which it was kind of hard to defend. Like, at least with World, right? Anytime there was a sort of misstep that it had, it was really easy to point out and kind of just go, well, you know, we can point out this weird misstep, but it's still like a new thing for Capcom, because they had never taken Monster Hunter into the format that they did until that game. That was just a huge risk on their part. So obviously, you know, there's gonna be some issues here and there. We were all expecting this, right? I'm sure no one would be surprised if they told you that they had some growing pains, if any did come up. And then comes Monster Hunter Rise, which was basically in Monster Hunter World Shadow, which didn't help because it genuinely looked like it ran much worse than that game. So imagine if you come off of this big next-gen title, and then you have all these cool graphics, they have this huge expansion come out, and then you get this Switch exclusive game that looks like it doesn't even run that well. But not only that, it's also announced that it's going to be missing content that the original game that came before it already had. And to make things even worse, it was going to be a game without a G-Rank, which means that you would basically go from Monster Hunter World's expansion back to what it was before the expansion, if that makes sense. And while that may be normal to Monster Hunter fans who are aware of the base game and then the ultimate version of the game, this was not normal to people who got in through World. And it was really funny because they were really hearing things about the series that were definitely stuff that they'd come to accept that people weren't going to accept. Like debates over things like console exclusivity, the graphics being downgraded from things like World, people getting mad about the Switch's performance, all of that stuff that Monster Hunter fans really didn't have to deal with that much were now coming to them at full blast. This led to a lot of really hilarious moments where people who were defending the game from random critics were just really just going to above and beyond what I like, just saying something that just blew my fucking mind. Like, how far do you have to go to hit a point where you are actually saying that 30 FPS is a smooth limousine ride compared to the greedy PC gamers who want 60 FPS and above? And even more fascinating, right, is that beyond all these random debates over the game before it came out, the fans also got shockingly introspective about the series. Like, there is a lot of discussion about things like how the old games did certain things. There's a lot of discussion about difficulty in the game, like whether it's too easy. And they've come out with just a lot of really eye-opening results that have basically told me that this community isn't the one for me. Like, these games are never really going to progress beyond this point after this. Like, I've kind of lost all hope in them. And I think probably the biggest one that is the best example of this has to be when they started talking about this idea that the games aren't getting easier, you're just getting better at them. So for some context, there was a debate that went on about the difficulty of Monster Hunter Rise, because people were saying that it is a very easy game. And to be fair, they're not entirely wrong, but also, you know, the G rank expansion hasn't come out yet where the game is supposed to get harder, and we were kind of in a similar situation in base world. But that debate is another story compared to the way in which it was sidestepped with the response I just mentioned. The games aren't getting easier, you're just getting better at the games, so naturally they seem to be easy to you. This is like one of the most insane things I've heard come from this community. There are so many implications to this, if it's true, that I don't think were considered when this was said. Let's say I'm getting mad that the games are getting really easy because I've progressed to a point where they stop being a challenge to me. The recommendation of this is basically that I should just stop playing this series because it's just not going to get any harder. My reward for sticking with it and getting better at the game is to quit because it will never ever progress to a point where I can actually keep improving. These games are specifically made for people who suck at them and who don't want to progress past that casual point of just sucking. Now, I know the people who use this argument aren't actually trying to say that you should quit the series because it's made for people who suck, because no fan wants that of their series, right? But like, these are the levels that we're getting to with these shitty deflections. And it's also important to acknowledge that this isn't a case where I can just ignore the community and just play the game, because I'm not having fun playing the games. In fact, I didn't even buy Rise because of how shitty it looked and how much shit they changed for the worse in it. This is a case where I either cave in and play something I know I won't enjoy, or try to turn to a community of people who are saying shit along the lines of, well, I shouldn't have been wanting the game to test me or challenge me in the first place because duh, I'm just so good at the game now. You know, I'm just so fucking good at the game. I don't suck enough to enjoy it. I mean, come on. And this brings me to the flip side of the community. The flip side of people who are on the more niche end, who are also at odds with the mainstream community, but who have equally stupid ideas. There are groups of people who are really shilling hard for the older games right now. They kind of want to go back to that sort of feeling. And I mean, hell, even I went back and played a bit of 4 Ultimate, and I'm playing a bit of Generations Ultimate now. They're not garbage games. They're definitely not in the same realm of controversy that Rise is in right now. But the thing is, I don't think that they're the way forward. I respect them as being older games, and I respect what they set up for the future, but I don't think that some of the mechanics people from this crowd are asking for need to come back. For example, right, there is a big dissatisfaction with how quickly these games can be completed now. And again, this ties on to the easy argument, right? The flip side of people who aren't willing to just deflect random bullshit by saying anything when people say that the games are getting too easy are the people who say that, yes, the games are getting easier and we want to find a solution to that. And our solution is to bring back grindy elements that made the games take longer to complete. The idea being that the difficulty of the prep work required to actually do hunts and the amount of planning that you need to go into each one is the difficulty that Monster Hunter needs to reincorporate moving forward. And now, while this might sound nice on paper, if you've actually played some of these older games, you know that this is fucking insane. Yes, Monster Hunter did phase out a lot of this with their quality of life changes. Yes, this did make the game faster as a result because it was a lot easier to go in and just hunt whatever monster you wanted without worrying too much. But is that really the area in which we need to add more difficulty? Do we really need to bring back a bunch of stupid gathering quests and a bunch of high rarity, low drop rate items that we need to craft more gear? I mean, maybe to some people that'd be fun, but to me, no, not really. So from my perspective, you have this whole community who's being insanely introspective in all the wrong ways that don't benefit me whatsoever, to the point where I am just so done with this community and with this franchise. But on a brighter note, I'm pretty sure most of this is pretty much a one-time sort of deal. Like, COVID really fucked over a lot of this development. We're all aware of it. I just don't really care in the sense that the game was released and I can make an informed decision based on whether or not I want it. Plus, there are also other issues that are independent of COVID that I know aren't going to go away, but I don't really want to get into all that now. I just want to at least point out that they're there. Anyway, very interesting, really weird situation. Even though it did leave me frustrated at a lot of points, I think there are a lot of really cool discussions to be had surrounding the game that I'm glad are at least coming up in some form in this community. And I'll be interested to see how they progress as things go, especially when Rise announces its G rank. Anyway, that's all I got. I am out of here.